The incident of the cleansing of the temple, which is our text for today, is found in all the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and in the Gospel of John. Each evangelist narrates it very differently, and Luke's narration is the shortest of all the four. Jesus goes to the temple and expects that there ought to be worship in the temple. But instead, Jesus finds two things. He finds trade, that is barter exchange and business being done. And he also finds that the poor are being cheated and fleeced because the poor did not know, they were ignorant, and people were taking advantage of them in the buying and selling. These two attitudes of the people, when they ought to have been worshipped, instead substituted with trade and cheating, makes Jesus alarmed. And Jesus goes into the temple and begins to drive out all those who were buying and selling. And by doing that, he drives out even the cheaters, and he says to them, God's house, God said, ought to be a house of prayer. But you have made it with your buying and selling and with your cheating, you have made it a den of robbers. And so the question is, each one of us is that temple of the Lord. Each one of us is that sanctuary of the Lord. Each one of us has been created in the image and likeness of the Lord. And so we need to ask ourselves whether in my own heart there is this, first of all, relation of barter exchange. Is my relation with others, is my relation with God a relation in which I expect if I give, or I give with expectation? If I do, then my temple needs to be cleansed. The second question I need to ask myself is there in the temple of my heart any kind of negatives, cheating, lying, stealing, bitterness, anger? If there is, it needs to be cleansed. The Lord will possibly come to me and say, your heart, your inner self, your being ought to be a transformation to God. But how come you have made it a place where evil dwells? How come there is no prayer in your heart? And so today, in order to cleanse the temple of my heart, I need to do two things. The first is I need to make sure that my relationships will never be built on barter exchange alone. If I go to the mall, if I go to the supermarket, if I go to buy something and I pay and I get what I need, that is perfectly okay. However, in my relationship with the members of my family, in my relationship with the members of my clan, in my relationship with the members of my community, if I deal in barter exchange constantly, it means my relationships need to be changed, need to be transformed. If I constantly look at God as someone who can work miracles in my life, if I look at God as someone who can give me all that I want, and that is my only relation with God, then I need to change that. I need to see God as love. I need to see God as forgiveness and mercy. I need to see God as revealed by Jesus. And the second thing I need to do is I need to remove from my heart that cheating and lying and stealing and anything which takes me away from the kind of person that I am, from the image in which I have been created, then my heart becomes really a temple of prayer. My heart becomes really a temple of worship. And my heart becomes a heart in which God dwells. If the Lord were to come to the temple of your heart, would he find trade and cheating, or would he find worship?